Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Brian Kelly Radio Show, coming to you live from O'Rourke's Public House. And, folks, please welcome the head coach of the Fighting Irish, Brian Kelly. I tell you what, he does a terrific job getting over here. His press conference ended just about 20 minutes ago. Did you have the lights on when you came over? Because I didn't have the benefit of the lights, and I question who we give driver's licenses to in this town sometimes. But in any event, Coach is here, another busy week of practice, but I know a productive one for your team.
Yes, we had a lot of work ahead of us, obviously, after, the Syracuse game, but more importantly, preparing for Stanford, great football team that we all know about and that we're very excited about playing. It's going to be a great college football atmosphere, and playing Stanford here is, as you all remember, has been a great challenge, and we're looking forward to it.
You know, I think the goal and the viewpoint of Irish fans is the same as the coaching staff. You always want the game to be perfect, and especially for the fans, because of that, sometimes they only focus on the negative and not the positive. But I saw an interesting thing today on one of the many ESPNs. I don't know which one of them I was watching, but it was a college football show. And their quote on the screen for the segment was, "We knew Everett Golson would be better this season, but we didn't know he would be this good." Have you been at all surprised with how well Everett has played?
I don't think I've been surprised. I think that I was expecting him to certainly grow and mature from where he left off, and he worked really hard in the offseason. We had the spring, certainly to figure out a lot of the things that we needed. And are we going to fix that back there? We got it? We good? All right. Can everybody hear me now? Good, because I can hear myself 5 times over.
You know what? I'll tell you what. Why don't we'll take a break and see if we can fix this. So,
yeah.
Well, we're getting feedback in our earphones.
We're getting feedback.
So
yeah.
Are you guys hearing that ringing and buzzing?
Yes,
yeah,
it's ringing.
We're getting a lot of feedback.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to wrestle him down to the ground, because that's the only way we could do things around here, and then we'll fix it.
All right. We'll be back with more on the Brian Kelly Radio Show right after this. Welcome back to the Brian Kelly Radio Show live from O'Rourke's. We've got that little speaker feedback thing figured out. Coach, I think the measure of a man's character, there's many ways to measure it. One way is that the guys who knew you before you were you, if that makes any sense, people, if they keep coming back to be with you and hang out with you, it's a real tribute to the kind of person you are and were. And I know you've got a very special group of teammates here again tonight.
I got my guys here, my teammates, and my former head coach here, Bernie Gahan, all in from Massachusetts. Hey, guys, how are you? Coach, how are you? Great to have them back.
I always love this night because, boy, do they have stories about you.
They have a lot of stories, and they keep them.
They keep them off social media.
Yes, they do. They do. They don't know what social media is. That's what I love about
it. Good for them, because it's a double-edged sword. Before we get to these questions, I do want to get back to one thing that your team did very, very well against Syracuse, and I think people don't realize how good Syracuse was defensively. They came into your game 26th in the nation in rushing. They were giving up just under 104 per game. You got over 160. You rushed your main running backs, each rushed for at least 4.1 per carry. Syracuse came in at 4 sacks per game. They only got to Everett once. And everybody focused on the fact that you had juggled your offensive line. It wasn't that your offensive line was playing poorly. It was more that they weren't playing as well as you need them to play.
Yeah, again, it's we're looking at our team and where do we want to go, not about where we are right now. It's developing our football team to be the best team it can be, moving forward. And we made progress. We had 7 conversions on 3rd down running the football. That's pretty impressive.
Because they know you're going to run the football.
They knew we were going to run it in 3rd down situations, and that unit playing together for the first time. So we made – look, we're not a finished product by any means, but we made the step necessary that we were looking for. So that's what we were wanting to accomplish against Syracuse. Now we're going to have to take that next step against against Stanford. But certainly progress was made there, and we feel really good about this week of practice and giving these guys a chance to work together. If we just stay together with these 5 guys, continue to work our schemes, terminology, communication, they're going to be a really good unit by by the time we get to the end of the season.
Now, when you talk about Stanford, they are by far the best defensive team you've played, one of the best defensive teams in the country, first in total defense, first in scoring defense. They've dropped down to fifth in pass efficiency defense, but they are very, very good. So you can make progress this week. It's not necessarily going to show up on the stats, but it'll show up if you win the game.
Oh, yeah. This is about winning a football game. This isn't about what the stats look like or how you get it done. And quite frankly, there's a lot of ways to win football games, and we're going to have to win it playing great defense, special teams, and being opportunistic offensively. And whatever way it gets us enough points. To borrow a phrase from Coach Holtz, we don't have to be the best team in the country. We just need to be the best team in the stadium on Saturday. And that's really the most important thing. And so for us, it's finding ways to be effective, both running it, throwing it, and certainly special teams is going to be a huge player in this game, and obviously what we do defensively.
Now, I was talking glowingly about Everett in the first segment, and I can hear some folks driving around. Oh, Jack, you shameless shill. He turned the ball over 4 times last week. Well, he did. A couple of poor decisions in passing. He had come in to the game as the all-time Notre Dame leader in fewest receptions or interceptions by percentage. But he was also doing something that you brought up a week ago Thursday. You are concerned with the way that he carries the football when he gets into the open field, and I know those are 2 things you worked on a lot this week.
Yeah, and he did. I mean, obviously you want to come to practice and see what your quarterback's going to be like. Is he concerned? Does he just kind of say, well, that's going to be a one-time deal, it won't happen to me again, or is he going to go to work on it? And he went to work on it, carried the ball correctly in the outside arm, 3 points of pressure, taking care of the football and everything that he did. So, he worked hard at it this week, did the things that he needs to do. Now we've got to put him in a good position to succeed.
Lots of questions. Going to get to him beginning right now. Mike Ryan is here from Sandwich, Massachusetts. Beautiful place down on Cape Cod. Coach, from an outsider's point of view, this team appears to have a terrific chemistry. Can you talk about the team's leadership? Thank you, and go Irish.
Yeah, we do. We really have a great mix here. Now, we had 41 players that were in their first or second year of competition on the plane ride over to New York. Means we've got a lot of young players, but we also have a real good core group of veterans, and in particular our junior class. We have a lot of juniors. Our seniors are great individuals, and so that mix has really worked well together. It hasn't been one class. It's been really just inclusive to everyone. And each year you have a different group of guys. And it's just this year, this group really likes each other across the board, from the freshmen to the seniors. You've got freshmen that hang out with seniors and seniors that hang out with freshmen. And that's kind of unusual. You usually have more of a caste system where guys kind of hang out together. This group is a lot different, and that's why there's really good chemistry.
And the interesting thing about Notre Dame, which is unlike most other universities, is the players don't live together, so they have their own circle of friends. They're in their own dorms, and in fact are encouraged to make another circle of friends. So when they, by choice, want to hang out with their teammates, that really means that they're fond of the guys they play with.
Yeah, and you got to understand, they're all together in June. We start this process off in June. So, June, July, August, they were together in June, through the summer months, living in the dorms. Then we went down to Culver Academy. They're with the guys there. So, you build bonds together as a unit. And we have, some guys at the top of that that really stress it as well. And you can sense it. You can feel it within the locker room. I'll just give you just a quick kind of, you might think this is silly, but these guys police themselves. And, in the locker room, it's a men's locker room. And you can imagine that, I have to stay on top of it to make sure it stays clean. But we have a group of guys that, rotate off that take care of those things, from making sure that the toilets are flushed to the towels are picked up. They police themselves, and it's a really good group of guys that take great pride in that.
Brad Duffy's here from Manchester, New Hampshire. It's a big New England night here on the Brian Kelly Radio Show.
It's
Coach,
great.
could you comment on the development of Drew Tranquil?
Well, I'd like to say there was a lot of development, but we kind of threw him in there. I think the development took place, a lot of it, when he came here in June. And Coach Longo did a great job of physically developing him, but he also took great care of himself. I mean, he is physically fit takes great care of himself. And then Coach Van Gorder did a very good job of taking a small part of the defense, not the whole defense, and teaching him a very specific role within the defense, not the entire defense, but a specific role, which got him on the field. And then he got confidence. And once he got some confidence, he was able to give him a little bit more. And I think that that's probably the reason why we're seeing him really kind of come into his own and do a lot more for us, not only on our sub packages, but on special teams as well.
Kevin's here from nearby Granger. Coach, during a typical week of practice, how much time do you spend on recruiting?
In terms of typical, I would say hour and a half, which would include phone calls, letters, and then some kind of staff meeting relative to the recruits. That's when we're away. We would probably double that. We have a big weekend this weekend, so that would go up to about 3 or 4 hours because I'll now meet with the recruits that are here. So on a home game, probably 3 or 4 hours a week. When it's an away game, probably an hour and a half.
This next question is from Bob Keenan from Pennsylvania, and this is one of those oldies but goodies. Since I got here in the early 80s, every coach has been asked this. Coach, are we going to use the tight end more this week?
I think so. I think we're going to use him. He's part of every game plan, and he's part of every route that we have. It's just a matter of where he fits in the progression. And then one game he'll have 7 or 8 catches, and we're like, well, why'd the tight end get so many balls thrown to him? He's always part of our progression. It just depends on what you want to take away. If you want to take away the tight end, somebody else is open.
When your friend Lou Holtz was here, he used to get asked that
all the time
and every week.
Well, they asked me why don't we use a fullback too, so I get that question all the time too.
Justin,
we don't have one on the roster,
and most schools don't.
No,
unless you're running the triple option. Justin Campbell's here from Fairmont, West Virginia. With the return of Torrey Hunter, do you see him being a more pivotal part of the offense?
Well, he'll get definitely more playing time. I mean, he's getting healthier, but Amir Carlisle's back too. So, it's nice now we've got some depth. What it'll allow us to do, hopefully, is to cut back a little bit on Will Fuller's reps. We want to keep him fresh. If we can keep him fresh, we can get the ball down the field more often vertically because he's such a weapon vertically. But if he's playing 80 plays, which he played the other night, he gets a little bit fatigued after about 60, 65 reps. So I think he's going to allow us to get Will off the field a little bit, and I think that's just going to make us a better receiving corps.
And from a health perspective, 4 games in, you're in pretty good shape now. In fact, you're getting guys back. Yeah,
we're getting some guys back. I think, you look at Amir coming back, Torrey, obviously feeling a lot better this week. Austin Collinsworth looks really good. I think he's going to be able to contribute this week. So, really, other than, obviously, I think, the one injury that's probably, bothering us the most is, Nick Martin's thumb. But that's something that he's going to have to deal with the whole year.
And speaking of dealing with an injury, I interviewed Corey Robinson for the radio pregame Saturday, and people forget he made a career-high 9 catches for 91 yards, including one of the best TD catches I've seen at Notre Dame. He's got a pin and a broken thumb, and I asked him about it. He said, just ignore it. Yeah, he's got a broken thumb, and he broke that thumb 48 hours prior to the opener, and he played with a full cast 48 hours later, had a couple of catches. He's just an incredible kid. Tom's here from Houston, Texas. This is kind of old school, too. Coach, have you done anything at practice this week to prepare for rain at the game Saturday, such as putting practice balls in a bucket of water?
Yeah, the wet ball drill. We actually practice with greased balls for our inside drills and for our running drills. So we have balls that are greased up. So we practice every single day, whether it's rainy or not, with a grease ball for about 30 minutes during practice.
Folks, as you know, the Fighting Irish are ranked 8th in the country after getting off to an impressive 4-0 start. If you'd like to root on the Irish in person but don't have tickets yet, there are some still available through the Notre Dame ticket office for the Louisville game. For more information, log on to und.com/tickets. Give the ticket office a call at 574-631-7356 or stop by the ticket office in Purcell Pavilion from 8:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. Back with more questions for the head coach right after this. It's the Brian Kelly Radio Show presented by TireRack.com. Welcome back to the Brian Kelly Radio Show before a packed house here at O'Rourke's presented by TireRack.com. One of the things we always try to do, because the players are busy. I mean, and they got to get to meetings and they got to go study. So we brought our players up. We'll bring Coach up again in a couple segments. But please welcome middle linebacker Jarrett Grace and outside linebacker Ben Councell to our stage tonight. Both these guys still play a key role on the team. Both guys were playing a lot last year. Then both guys went down with a knee injury. In the case of Ben, he's working his way back up now. Jarrett had one of the actually ugliest leg breaks I've ever seen down at AT&T Stadium in Dallas. Had started 3 games, had become a key player. So that's the first question. You've had a couple of surgeries. You had 4 fractures in each bone. I know it's been a long way back. How close are you?
I feel like I'm getting really close. The training staff's done a tremendous job, and then just the support of my teammates, being out there encouraged me as I take, each additional step out there at practice field. So I'm feeling great.
Now, Ben, you're coming back from a knee injury as well, and you're back on the field. But, I mean, it sets you back, so I know it's somewhat frustrating. You've got a block kick this year. You blocked a Michigan field goal attempt. Always good to block a Michigan kick. Mm-hmm. How is it going for you now as you get back into full-time playing and fighting for more playing time?
It's good. It's learning the defense. I came in with put a new defense this last year. That and just every week just trying to get the leg a little more strong and feel a little more comfortable out there.
Now, I know you guys are all excited about this defensive scheme, and I'm not saying it's better than the previous defensive scheme, but it certainly to a degree is more aggressive. And one of the surprises I've had is, as aggressive as it is, you haven't given up a lot of big plays. So as you guys have both participated in it and watched it, what do you think the key is to the success of this defense so far?
I think it mainly is based around speed. I mean, we fly around, and that's what the whole concept is, just go after them and get them. So that's what we've been successful with. And
I know earlier than you want to be in your career, but right now you are kind of a coach, using your knowledge on the sideline and watching and working hard to get back in. But as you've been on the sidelines during games, what have you seen out there from this defense?
Oh, yeah, it's totally a whole new perspective out there, and on the headset as well. You can hear the things the coaches are saying, so you pick up on so much you wouldn't otherwise when you're, just on the field, and, just using that to my advantage, when I get back, and then also just trying to help Joe and the other linebackers, see things they otherwise wouldn't be able to just with that, straight on view in the field.
Now you mentioned Joe, and I think he's getting irritated with this because he walked on because he wanted to play at Notre Dame, even though he did have some full-ride scholarship offers. Everybody sits there and goes, aren't you, maybe somebody said, how do you convince yourself you're not, well, they said 6'0", 215, and he's bigger than that, but how do you convince yourself you're not as big as everybody else? I mean, are you guys surprised at the level he's playing at?
Honestly, not at all. Joe came in with the mentality and the work ethic that he was going to succeed. And, right now the opportunity presented itself, and it's everything he's prepared for. And, everyone's so happy for him. And, I'm not surprised by any means. I don't know what outsiders think, but no, this is, Joe's been waiting for this moment. He's doing an awesome job.
Now, Joe's always been in the middle, and you play outside, but what are your thoughts on the way Joe's played?
He's playing awesome, and he's a great leader out there. I think he's he's one of the key players for our defense. He's out there, and he's the loudest, most boisterous person on the field, even though he's not the biggest.
Now, Jalen was playing with you on the outside last year, and he gets so much publicity, and he should, but you also were kind of tutoring him. He credited you with taking him under your wing and helping him learn the ropes, and now he's moved inside. But what do you see as the future for Jalen Smith?
It was a privilege just to be able to be out there with him a little bit. He's one of those freak athletes, and I mean, he's going to be playing a lot more football for the rest of his life, so it was awesome playing with him.
I imagine both you guys bristled at this a little bit, but the conventional wisdom coming into the season was the defense was so young that the offense was going to have to carry you guys. But at times now, and Coach, we talked about it on his TV show this week, he really likes it. It's been each side picking up the other, but every one of these wins so far has been a team victory.
Definitely. And I think both the offense and defense are trying to hold each other accountable, and luckily, at those times, the offense has stepped up when we needed them to, and then we came through when the offense needed us to, and I think that's great, just to have that balance and just have that, same focus throughout. We know the standard we want to be at, and so we say, hey, guys, step it up. Right now we got you, but let's step it up.
Ben, why do you think the defense has been so successful so far?
I think it goes back to, again, the leadership. We've got great leaders on the defense, and that just contributes to our success.
Now, when you take on a Stanford football team now, Jim Harbaugh started this, but in recent years, whenever you talk about Stanford, you talk about physical. How physical are they?
They're pretty physical. I don't think they're any more physical than we are. We think it's a game of a bunch of tough, smart guys out there. But, yeah, that's definitely a huge part of it. And if we don't bring our pads, then it'll be a long day.
Ben, it is a big rivalry, but is that how you see it too, both not just a physical game, but do you sense a certain kinship in that a lot of the guys have been recruited by both teams, and you are similar in your makeup both on the field and off the field? Yeah,
there's no doubt that Stanford and Notre Dame are the two premier football leagues in the country, both academically and as for football. But me personally, I always look forward to Stanford just because it's a physical game. It's like old school football, so we can get down there and just put the pads on and smash. So.
Now, one of the questions in here for Coach, I'm going to ask you guys, and forgive me, questioner, you'll know it's your question. We've got so many, I'd have to pull it out. But their question was, Coach or players, is Coach Van Gorder as quiet and calm during the week in practice as he appears to be on the sideline during games? Would either of you care to answer that?
I don't know if we should.
No comment. No comment.
No, he's fantastic. Brings a great energy. Obviously you see it on the sidelines, but throughout the week in the meeting rooms, it's relaxed in there too. Like you know what you're gonna get. He's gonna be full of energy and getting after you. But you appreciate that almost because he's honest and he makes you want to do better because he's so invested in the process of making us the best defense in the country.
I know he's really intense. He's even intense the few times I've been able to talk to him. And there's a lot of pages to that defensive playbook, but it doesn't seem like he has had any trouble getting those schemes and sets across to you guys. Why is that?
I think, number one, he's a great teacher. Number two, he likes more so than just teaching on a board. He'll take us, we have a lot of walkthroughs, so that's part of it. I think just both visualizing it and actually going out and doing it before practice.
There was a time, I think it was this past summer. But some friends of mine, we wanted a different dining experience because normally we always eat here at O'Rourke's. But a local Japanese restaurant where you eat in groups, and these two guys and two of their teammates came in. And I was really impressed just with the way they carried themselves. I kind of expected it. The beverages they chose to drink, they didn't order anything that they shouldn't be drinking at the time. Is that something that takes some time to adjust to? Because I know everybody tells you that you're in the spotlight as a Notre Dame player, but when you go out, is it always in the back of your mind that we are always representing this university 24/7?
Of course, always. Especially around South Bend, you got to be Notre Dame seems to recruit. They try and recruit good guys, so it's not really that hard. We were raised, to be respectful, especially, out and about. So
you're kind of same take. I mean, that's basically how you behave.
Yeah, I think we can attribute that to our mothers. Gave us weapons when we needed them, and our, that sort of thing. But that's just the way we've always been. And then it just so happens we're at a university where you have to act that way. And I mean, that just makes it that much better that you're surrounded by good guys doing the right thing. So it's really easy to do.
These two guys will now have the challenge. When you see that 60-second drill on Coach Kelly's TV show, I will be honest with you, we let them restart at times, and I want them to show their personalities. And if it crosses beyond the line of what we put on TV, we redo it. But these guys are going to do it live right after this timeout on the Brian Kelly Radio Show, live from O'Rourke's Public House, presented by TireRack.com. Welcome back to the Brian Kelly Radio Show, live from O'Rourke's Public House, presented by TireRack.com. Want to welcome all the folks. You see all these TV cameras. Well, not only is it archived for you to watch it later, but it is live now all around the world. I want to welcome, we've got at least half a dozen people that stay up in Ireland to watch this show live each and every week. It's also live right now on WSBT, our flagship. It's live up in Grand Rapids on WJRW. It's live down in Conway, Little Rock, Arkansas right now at KASR. You can also hear it coming up over the weekend on KVCE in Dallas, Fort Worth, and WXNT down in Indianapolis. We welcome all of our affiliates. All right, here's the fun part. 60-second drill. We start with your favorite all-time movie. I'll alternate. You go first.
For a movie? All right. I'd say Friday Night Lights.
I would love Lord of the Rings. I'd like to run around the woods with a sword. That'd be cool.
Favorite TV show?
Breaking Bad.
Game of Thrones.
All right. Player on the team who's most like you?
Jarrett Grace.
Ben Councell.
All right. That's probably why they're here. Favorite musical group or artist?
Sam Hunt.
Dave Matthews Band.
Most famous person you have already met?
Go to Jarrett.
Bon Jovi.
Would you agree?
Yeah, Bon Jovi for sure.
You know, some players say Coach Kelly, but that's all right. I like Bon Jovi. Any place anywhere in the world you would like to visit that you haven't been to yet?
Japan for the sushi.
Okay.
New Zealand to follow up the Lord of the Rings.
All right. What is your favorite place to go on campus?
Probably the Grotto. Bring some peace.
Ben?
DCO Hall to get that tuna wrap.
All right. I like somebody whose life revolves around good eating. I really do. Favorite sport to watch other than football?
International soccer.
Okay.
Rugby.
All right. Best nickname on the team and who has it?
Tony
Redbone Springman. Bonesaw.
Best player to room with on the road?
It wouldn't be Carlo Calabrese from last year. I had to pack extra bags of chips just to throw at him during the night to keep him from snoring.
Yeah, shoemates in the same boat. Heard
All
some
right.
horrible stories.
One thing you always hear from Coach Kelly in practice.
What are you doing?
It'd have to be on a day-to-day basis. That's what I hear.
You need consistency. What is your thoughts on the new turf in Notre Dame Stadium?
I love it.
It's perfect.
Yep.
Who is the toughest player to tackle on this team?
Ooh. Cam McDaniel.
I'd say Greg Bryant.
It's good that it's the running backs coach. I like that because you want your running backs to be hard to bring down. All right, and you can include yourselves. Who do you think the hardest hitter is on this team?
Currently?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jarrett.
Probably Everett Golson. He's, if you haven't watched any games, he's laying some licks out there.
I think Max Redfield, not that he's the hardest, but he's going to knock himself out. That's how hard he hits.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
All right, now here's your team questions. Who's the best singer on this team?
Elijah Shoemate.
Yeah.
He has a great voice.
Shoemate.
Who's the best dancer on the team?
Jerron Jones.
Jerron, easy. That's easy.
Who's the best comedian on the team?
I'd have to go with Shoemate again. He just, he has his weird rants he goes on.
Kendall Moore.
All right. Who is the best comedian on the coaching staff? Funniest coach? Is there one?
Coach Kelly's low key. He's got some jokes up his sleeve.
Definitely. Coach McGorder,
Best dresser on the team?
Matt Haggerty, he has a good, sweatpants rotation. He breaks out the class every once in a while. So.
Sweatpants rotation.
Max Redfield, he's got some nice tiger stripe pants he wears.
Oh, yeah.
You got to be able to carry that off. Worst dresser on the team?
Tyler Stockton. It lives on. The legacy lives on.
Legacy lives on.
Yeah.
Player on the team who's most likely to become a football coach?
Gummy.
Montgomery Van Gorder
Yeah,
or
Montgomery
Joe
Van
Schmidt.
Gorder.
All right. Best thing about playing for Notre Dame?
Meeting awesome people, people like yourself, the same goals that, and building these relationships that can just last forever.
Ben?
Yeah, being around this great university and just having this fan base that's not only national but international. You can go anywhere and people know about Notre Dame.
He's Ben Councell. He's Jarrett Grace. You'll see him on the field this weekend. We're going to see him back soon. I know he's working his tail off to get back. We're back with more of the Brian Kelly Radio Show, live from O'Rourke's Public House, presented by TireRack.com right after this. Welcome back to the Brian Kelly Radio Show at a packed O'Rourke's Public House. As we head on into the big game with Stanford on Saturday, lots more questions, so we're going to get right back to him. Terry is here from Granger, Indiana. Coach, what is the main reason for the dramatically improved special teams play this season? And what is your favorite sandwich spot?
The dramatic, well, first of all, I think we've got an outstanding special teams unit, and I think Scott Booker puts as much time and effort into it as any coach in the country. So Scott Booker does a great job. He's diligent with it. He works tirelessly at it. We spent a lot of time in the offseason really doing a lot of self-study. And then I think Kyle Brinza has been outstanding. Punting, kicking, doing all the duties. Scott Daly is the best long snapper in the country. And now we've put some people in position to really excel in those special teams. I think our return team, punt return, has really given us a big boost. And so, when you look at all those things coming together, I think that's really been the biggest, uptick for us, across the board.
And I should have edited it, but I read question number 2, favorite sandwich spot. They got good sandwiches here at O'Rourke's.
They got great sandwiches. I'd say O'Rourke's are my favorite sandwiches, bar none.
All right.
How'd I do?
Very good. Very good.
Excellent.
And I know you get your tires at Tire Rack, too.
Tire Rack.
Absolutely.
All 4 of them.
The question about Coach Van Gorder was from Beth in Houston, Texas. Beth, thank you. And you did direct that at the players, and they enjoyed that question. Tom Simchek from Dowagiac is actually asked, do you belong to any fantasy football leagues?
I wouldn't even know how to sign up for one. How do you do that? I mean, I hear about it all the time, and it's big business. I get that, but I wouldn't even know how the first thing about a football fantasy thing.
I mean, you're a football coach. I know we spend most of Sunday, I do, working on your show. You've got all those other things going on. How much NFL football do you watch?
Very little. I mean, I'll have it on once in a while as a backdrop while we're doing things, but very, very little, if any. I mean, I got home, Monday night at around 11:30, and I think I saw Bill Belichick in his press conference. So that's about all I saw of the Monday night game.
By the way, if you ever watch Coach Kelly's press conferences, and we post them all on WatchND, appreciate this guy, because I thought Bill Belichick's this week was entertaining, but he only had one answer to all the questions. You ever think of trying that here?
I don't think it's going to work.
Not going to work here. William Cunningham from Plains, Pennsylvania is here. Coach, what is the best piece of advice a former Notre Dame head football coach has given you?
Oh.
And I know they're reluctant to offer it.
They are, but I mean, I've gotten so much great information from, all of the head coaches here. I would say probably the best piece of advice would be balance the best you can, because there are so many demands on your time, and make sure you enjoy each team that you have, because you get pulled in so many directions. So I would say enjoy the players that you have, and make sure that you stay close and contacted with your players.
Bob Pagano's here from Rochester, New York. Now, Bob, you weren't watching the telecast. He wants to know if you played in the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, and if yes, how did you do? You did play.
Did make the cut this year.
Did make it last year, though.
Which is good. If our athletic director was watching, he wouldn't want me to make the cut. That means I'm spending too much time on my golf game and not on football. So there's always a good story attached to it. Now, I would have liked to make the cut, because then I could say that I just overcome all the odds. But needless to say, we played in it. We had a great deal of fun, and we'll see if we get invited back.
I'm sure you will. Susan Shetkowski's here from Rochester, Minnesota. Coach, why don't you smile more on the sidelines?
I do after we win. I smile all the time, but they don't put it on TV. I just don't understand why they don't do that. Would you guys want me to smile during the game, or would you like me to stay focused on what we're doing? Okay, that's what I thought. And then you guys get to smile later. That's how I figured you guys want it. Good. Make it a good tailgate for everybody.
Now, I mean, we got a couple of these questions on the postgame show. People were impressed and maybe a little surprised. Obviously, Everett made some bad decisions against Syracuse, but they had the camera on you and Everett the whole time. I'm sure the producer was waiting for a little fire, but it was clearly teaching moments each and every time. That's where your relationship with him has gone to.
Yeah, well, we have a lot of teaching to do. I mean, the people, you know, you
but
have to.
But there was no yelling.
Well, there might have been some yelling at other times, but maybe they didn't catch it on camera. We yelled during practice a lot, too. But the point for Everett is that each one of those experiences that he had, that's the first time he's gone through it. The very first time that he's had to get up there and fire the ball. He's never done that before. That's the first time he's done it. You would think, a quarterback at Notre Dame that we've been in a 2-minute drill, but that's the first time he's done it in a game-like situation. That's the first time he's checked out of a play in zone coverage and thrown the ball, the interception. You only check out of it in man. It was zone coverage. So things like that. So those are teaching moments for him at the quarterback position. So, again, I think that he's learning every day, and it's important that I get those opportunities to talk to him about it and him grasp it so we don't make the same mistake twice.
This question kind of segues onto that one. It's from Kelly Nesbitt, who's here all the way from College Station, Texas. Coach Kelly, do you have a package of plays where Golson lines up under center?
Well, we can run we could probably run 60% of our offense under center, but he's 5'11", 6 foot, and he's better suited to be in the pistol and shotgun and see things a lot better from that position. The advent of the spread quarterback where he's athletic and can move, he's not as tall, and he's not 6'3", he's not 6'4", but everybody is exponentially grown on defense. Those guys, Jerron Jones is a nose tackle. He's 6'6". These guys are bigger, and so getting him back away so he can see is much more helpful. There are times where direct snap makes sense, but for us in the way we want to operate, it's better that he's back so he can see things and operate.
We have more questions, we have more time, but one more timeout. Our final break coming up here on the Brian Kelly Radio Show. Welcome back to the Brian Kelly Radio Show, live from O'Rourke's Public House and on Watch ND. Want to remind you that tonight's edition of Thursday Night Notre Dame Classic Games here on Watch ND, presented by TireRack.com, is a no-brainer. It's a replay of Notre Dame's thrilling 2012-2013 overtime victory over, Stanford. And it comes up right after our show here on Watch ND. You log out to the main page, log back in, and you can watch it. Of course, that came down to a 2-play goal line stand, and certainly that's one of the big wins of your career here at Notre Dame.
That was a great game. Certainly, defensively we did great things that entire season, but one of the real marks of that defense was 4th down and goal line stands. And, you would think that couldn't have been topped until you went to the USC game and then stopping USC on the goal line. But 2 just incredible goal line stands during the season. But I think the Stanford one obviously is one that goes down in the books.
We have to give social media always a little bit of a taste here. Mike Williams has tweeted this question to us. He's from South Bend. Coach, is the new turf in the stadium, when it rains, does it get more slippery than natural grass or less slippery or the same?
No, it actually it gives us great traction. We were on it today when it started to rain. There's a heavy sand and rubber inlay into that surface, so it will be a great surface to play on Saturday.
And another weather question from Joe Flanagan, who's here from Freeland, Pennsylvania. I swear, if you held an election in Pennsylvania on a Notre Dame home weekend, the turnout would be like 20% because everybody seems to be here.
It's awesome. We love Pennsylvania.
Joe wants to know, with wind gusts in the forecast for Saturday's game, how much will that impact the passing game on both the offensive and defensive sides?
It really doesn't impact it as much as you would think. It impacts the kicking game more than anything else. So from a passing game standpoint, generally it's throwing with the wind sometimes that you have more of a problem for accuracy standpoint. You have a tendency to overthrow receivers. Going into the wind, unless it's crazy, gusts of wind, you're able to manage it quite well. The football is going to get through it. It's the kicking game that would concern you more than anything else.
I have about 45 seconds left, Coach. Your keys to the game on Saturday.
Well, I think all 3 phases really play into this game more than any. And I know that sounds like coach speak, but special teams will play a huge role, and the average starting field position is going to set up a score or two, and I think that's the separation in this game, is just a score here or there. So special teams and the average field position vis-a-vis special teams is probably going to be the difference in this game.
Coach, as always, thank you very much for the time tonight. And folks, thank you. We are going to give away a bunch of stuff now, and for folks listening, you got to be here to win this, but we've got some Upper Deck Notre Dame Legend cards, we've got some Under Armour gear, and we will be here every Thursday night through the week of the Louisville game. So once again, our thanks to O'Rourke's, our thanks to Coach Kelly. Good night, everybody, from O'Rourke's, presented by TireRack.com, and go Irish.